All right, it's 7:01. I'm going to call the Board of Selectmen Budget Workshop to order. Our first item of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. Heather, would you please lead us?
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Those around.
All right. First up, first of all members of the Board of Selectmen are here. First up is going to be the American Heritage River Commission. Good evening, Mr. Chairman. How are you? That is in tab 1 somewhere. Wait, you have tabs? Oh, just the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's fine. If you want, you can bring a chair up or you can use the podium, wherever you're comfortable. That would be fine. You're welcome to come up if you'd like to. Whenever you're ready.
Okay, so budget request for 2026-2027 in the amount of $4,430. It's an increase of $150 over what we asked for last year, which you gratefully approved. And the reason is that the reagents that we use for the E. coli testing continue to increase. That's where the extra money is going. It is not by any means covering what the actual cost of the reagents are. I can just Well, there's different segments. So there's 3 segments in Enfield. There's ours, which goes from Melrose Bridge. And loops around 2.5 miles. So those are the ones, that are the linear park.
Yeah, well, the initial effort when the park was established was to do the full range of the
Yeah,
river. Is there still any effort to acquire properties by the state?
I don't know of any.
Okay,
I don't know of any.
yeah, thank
Which would
you.
be too bad because you could connect that to the bridge across the Connecticut River and hook up with the canal trail.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
you're all the way deep into Suffield.
You also test for like oxygen and turbidity and total dissolved solids and,
Monthly,
yep.
okay? We have here in East Windsor, we have Deb Norvell, Austin, who does that for us. And then she takes the samples up to Summers, to Doc Martin's house, and then Kirsten brings it down to St. Joe's and tests it. And then during the summer, from the end of May until mid-September, that's when E. coli is tested.
Yeah. Is that, and you have like, I don't know, probably what, 20 years of that data at
Since
least?
2000 and, I think it's 2010 that they started doing the. E. coli.
Okay. And the others. So is that part of the state of the Scannic data or is that?
Yes.
Yep. And that data, is that also used by the fisheries department to decide whether or not to stock? So
I
it's,
don't know whether they decide whether or not to stop because of that.
okay.
I do not know. I know they stock quite often, so I don't think it's stopping them, but that's just my own thought.
Rick, in your data since 1999, have you seen major improvements in the water quality?
No. It's gone.
No. Really?
Mhm.
Because of housing development primarily?
Don't know why.
Huh.
Don't know why.
When I was a kid, I swam in the Powder Hollow area in Enfield.
That explains it.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. And back then, there was something upstream that on any given day released a certain dye into the river and the river would change colors.
Mhm.
We got to be better than what the water quality was back then, but we're talking 1960s, early 60s probably.
There has been improvement for a lot of things. There's a state program where they're helping dairy farmers to do better manure management, to keep it further away so that runoff and that doesn't go in to the water.
But I can't think of a lot of dairy farms along that path.
It's not necessarily where the farms are, it's where they
A
have.
lot of it enters through the Broad Brook, which comes through Ellington.
Okay, yeah.
But there's more and more development. There's a lot of old septic systems that maybe have failed years ago. You dug a hole and you buried something.
Yeah.
And who knows what's breaking down and what's going wherever. But if you look at the numbers from the state of the Scannic, and there's copies here of every one that's been done, it has not gotten better. Here in East Windsor, we've gotten worse.
That's alarming because it is a beautiful resource.
It absolutely is. You start walking some of those trails, you don't know that you're anywhere near a roadway with cars going by. So, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, I tried canoeing a section of it a couple of years ago with my grandson. And he was ready to kill me because there were so many trees down and everything that we didn't get very far. And it took us all day.
See, that's the problem.
Yeah.
There's a lot of trees that are down and it's gotten so that we, even though we're river people and that's what we've always wanted to be, we just, doing the E. coli testing is almost working against us. Because you get the river low
Mm.
It'd be great to get in there with a chainsaw. You know, you don't need to be in the canoe.
That's what he
But,
called.
oh, wait a minute. Look at the numbers.
Yeah.
Oh, no, we're in the red zone, so we can't.
Yeah.
So it's, they bought waiters, so they sometimes don't look at numbers, but, yeah.
Thank you.
Heather, Bob?
I'm good. It was interesting to hear about the,
I'm good. I want to thank you guys for the continued work and I've enjoyed my time on the river with a chainsaw myself.
Boy Scouts for coming in and working
Yep.
along too.
It's always nice to see you. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you all.
thank you.
Next up, Veterans Commission, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Nope. Two.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good. Do me a favor, say something. I'd be good at this by now. There we go. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
So I'm Jim Barton, Chairman of the Veterans Commission. This is Vice Chairman Al Raymond. And we are responsible for a couple of small lines budget. Here to talk about those. First is the recording secretary. We are seeking an increase there of $25 a meeting. That's largely because our secretary don't always get a increase or adjustment unless you ask. They're not town employees, so they don't have a contractual increase that comes along every 2 or 3% every year or whatever. In addition, our commission has some additional needs beyond the normal duties of the recording secretary. So it's not just doing the agenda, putting the agenda out, taking the minutes and then reporting the minutes. We also depend on that person for correspondence, letters of thank you to supporters, letters to the military looking for assets for Memorial Day Parade, letters and invitations to marching units that we want to get. So anything to do with a computer, because that's not me. This person comes up with flyers or posters for any of our events. And the online application for the, I know I've mentioned this before, there's an online application for the flyover, which is not that complicated unless you're me. And so additional functions, some of our events are also supported by Melissa LaBelle. Y'all might have heard of her. So she helped us out. And our recording secretary does too. And she does. I don't want to pay her for volunteer stuff, but she volunteers. We're all volunteers. She volunteers too. She helps us out, especially on the road race, as does Alyssa, Jennifer, and a bunch of other people who are not on our commission. I'm not trying to pay her for that stuff, but so anyway, that's what we're asking for, is an increase in that line. The other line is the Memorial Day community activities or whatever. That basically funds the flags that we put out on the graves, cemeteries. We put 1,000 flags on the graves in the town's 7 cemeteries. And that line has been increased in many years. Obviously, the cost of things go up there. In addition, it's not just a flag too, it's these things. And you know, this is the holder that goes in the ground that holds the flag. This is an old one. The gold paint is all worn off of this, but I don't think it was too long ago that this cost $5 and now it's 20.
Can I see that? Here, may I hold it? Substantial, rod.
So we always have to replace some of those, and we always find graves that don't have them. And we really need to have them on all the graves so that we're not sticking a flag into the ground. And also so that the next year, we know where to put a flag.
I've planted plenty.
Because we put the flags out just before Memorial Day. We maintain them throughout the summer, and we remove them all shortly after Veterans Day. By that time, they're really pretty ratty, and they need to go. So the following Memorial Day, we need to know where to put the flags. We have to have those.
Questions or comments for the Veterans Commission?
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it is pretty straightforward. I just want to say, you know, like the American Heritage River Commission, I know you guys do a lot of stuff that people don't know about. I know that the commission works very closely with community services to make sure that there are, you know, installation of ramps as necessary, or other supports for veterans who, you guys don't take a victory lap on that stuff. You know, it just, if something needs to happen, it gets taken care of, and that's appreciated. You guys do a lot of really impactful work on people, and I don't think everybody fully understands that. I just want to say thank
We do
you.
stand ready to help veterans, obviously, and we do park some money with social services for people that qualify and need something. You know, we also we put all the flags up on the utility poles. We're responsible for all that. We do 2 scholarships a year, and whatever else we need to do.
And you're working with arts and culture on something similar to that, right?
Arts and culture is taking the lead in a banner project where they want to put up, I don't know if you've seen, it's a banner like this shape, and it goes on utility poles, and it has a picture of a veteran and, you know, some information about that person. And so Debbie Williams is well, we sent out a mailer with her. She got back some to gauge the interest. So she got back some interest, and she's moving forward with that. So we're supporting that effort. So that might go somewhere. There are like 11 people right now who express an interest. I think if some of those things get up on the polls, there might be some more interest.
Yeah, I think so too. Good.
At a recent meeting, you talked about some needs at veteran cemeteries relative to electrical or water.
At the Veteran Cemetery, we're trying to grow grass there. And there's no water and there's no electricity. There used to be electricity, and there is a line out to there. There used to be a light for the flag, which is not now. and a receptacle out there for functions. We're gonna plug in a sound system or something. And now there's no power. I guess there's a break between the street and the little building that they have up there, so. So trying to figure out, something to do with that. But if we can't figure out, something for irrigation, then we probably don't really need electricity. Both of those things would be very costly, I think, and we're still kicking that around, trying to figure out what to do about it.
Not just for
We
the
did-
installation, but the ongoing costs, right?
Yeah, we did get a grant from the Hartford Foundation there. And so we've been using that. That grant is, use that for BB Landscaping to do whatever they can do up there without water. So, and we're gonna, I mean, grass grows in different places without water, so maybe we can make something happen. It's kind of high and dry up there, so it's difficult. But this would be the second year that BB has done some work, so maybe it'll start getting improved a little bit.
Thank you.
Other questions,
Thank you.
comments for Jim and Al? Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Next up, our friends from Warehouse Point Library. That's going to be in tab 4. Sure. Yeah.
There should be a PowerPoint version that would be.
Yeah. Please do. Nobody ever does. You're certainly welcome.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay.
Take me a second here. My D drive. The oldest one.
Is it up?
Oh, I gotta share it. It's great. If you want.
Love to show everybody. Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Felicia Gardner, and I am honored to be the director of the Warehouse Point Library. I'm very excited to talk to you about the library. It's probably one of my top 5 favorite topics to talk on. So I'd like to walk you through how the library has grown this year, where that growth is being felt most, and why a modest 5% increase is necessary to sustain services responsibly while maintaining access, safety, and quality in the face of rising demand and costs. Next slide, please, Jason. Thank you. There's a lot of information. It's smaller than I thought it would be. My apologies. But when we talk about the library, we're not just talking about books. We're talking about digital access, job support, technology, early literacy tools, community space, 24/7 connectivity, and more. For many residents, we are their internet access, their printer, their meeting space, their learning platform, and their quiet place to think, all with no expectation. We currently circulate over 155,000 items across physical and digital formats, and every one of those checkouts represents access that would otherwise cost the individual. Next slide, please. This is it says at the top stat slide. In 2025, we saw measurable growth across nearly every category. Active cardholders increased, overall visits increased, circulation increased by 9%, and programming attendance reached over 5,800 participants. This growth is extremely positive. It means the community is utilizing and valuing the library. But growth, as you know, also brings pressure. That's why we're requesting the 5% increase. This increase reflects rising costs in building maintenance, programming and materials, technology and cybersecurity, telecommunications, staff salaries and professional support, and insurance, all core operational areas. Next slide, please. Thank you. This one also says children's programming at the top. Our children's department remains our most robust and most utilized department, and with good reason. Our children's librarians, Anne and Liz, who you may know, have done a truly tremendous job of supporting and loving the kiddos of the East Windsor community. While program totals increased modestly, attendance increased by 10%, meaning we are serving significantly more children per program. We reduced our supply budget by $3,000 to remain fiscally responsible, but even with those reductions, rising material costs and increased participation means expenses continue to accumulate. Next slide, please. This is where I just show some really cool pictures of things that have been happening lately. In the top left corner, we have Ramadan, which happened this past weekend. The top middle is a rotating art installation that we have in our teen section. We partnered with the art teacher and art students at the high school to be able to get some of their work into the library. Top right is Miss Liz and friends at a Saturday Crafters Connection class. The bottom right, or bottom left, my apologies, is we, for Valentine's Day, asked the community to create Valentines to send to a local nursing home in East Hartford, and over 100 were made and sent, which was really beautiful. The middle on the bottom is our storybook stroll. All of the storyboards were created and donated by community members, which was really beautiful. And then bottom right is a youth book reading with a local author. Thank you, Jason. Adult programming has increased 15% and attendance increased by an astounding 71%. We're currently averaging about $11 per program because of careful budgeting and cost sharing, but that number doesn't reflect the true cost of expansion. Professional presenters often average $300 per session, and community demand continues to grow. As librarians, we like to look at our communities as a whole, and that means addressing who isn't utilizing the library and asking why. One way we've been able to bridge that gap is by partnering with the Senior Center for our Golden Hour programming series, where the library and community center share the cost of presenter-led programming, benefiting both organizations as well as the patrons. Next slide, please. And here's some pictures. Top left is a program that was recently created called Steeped in Color, where you can bring your tea and a mug. We have everything else, and we sit and do some adult coloring with some lo-fi vibe music and kind of just sit and meditate. It's really beautiful. We also have the DIY and Unwind program, which has been incredibly popular, and that's probably where the most demand is coming from for adult programming. People are coming in basically demanding more programming and asking that it can be twice a month, but that's where we're seeing most of our costs go, is into that programming materials. The bottom in the middle is one of the examples of our Golden Hour series programming. We had Einstein at the Senior Center, which was very cool. And then the bottom right is also a flower pot decorating class that we did, and that was presenter-led. Next slide. All right, we are having some tech turmoil currently. Our public computers are aging and incompatible with future Windows updates. That presents both operational and cybersecurity risks. We need 8 new public desktops at an estimated cost of $5,000 to $5,600, plus licensing, which is not included in that total. And that means having like our deep freeze put on so that everything gets wiped at the end of each user's being on the computer, Microsoft Office, things like that. This also does not include staff machines, which are also aging. Increased reliance on digital services for job applications, telehealth, government forms means reliable technology is no longer optional. This is a standard that libraries need to meet. Next slide, please. Now we come to what would have said staff support. This year, personnel costs decreased slightly due to retirements and restructuring. We provided cost of living adjustments, but were unable to implement merit increases in order to remain within our budget. Long-term stability requires competitive wages to retain qualified staff and is essential to maintain program quality, patron support, and safe library functionality and oversight. All public libraries recently received the results of a benchmark data study done in 2025, which indicates that compensation for leadership roles remains below recommended standards statewide. So that's that chart that you can see at the bottom, but it's very hard to see, so my apologies. Next slide, please. We are also having digital content access issues. I don't know if many of you know that Hoopla is one of the online resources that we have where people can check out movies or audiobooks, ebooks. It's very expensive to run. So we had to put a $700 monthly cap on the Hoopla. And unfortunately, while this is very financially responsible, this cap restricts patrons' access once the limit is reached. We felt the frustration from patrons over this cap. Many call in to see why they can't access books or materials at any given time on this app. And my staff is having to come up with reasons for budgeting without actually explaining like what our budgeting is. So audiobook usage has increased a staggering 211.7% this year. 211%. That is incredible. Ebooks have increased by 10.4%. So as you can see, demand is certainly not slowing down for our content. Community partnerships and outreach. Outreach has become integral to sustaining engagement and visibility in town. We have accomplished this through a blooming partnership with the superintendent to bus teens to the library for programming after school. The high school art installation that I mentioned earlier with gallery openings to celebrate young artists. Senior tech time and traveling library that happens at the senior center, reaching a part of the community that might not otherwise have the means or opportunity to make it to the library. Cultural celebrations like Diwali and Ramadan that encourage community members of all backgrounds to attend and learn new and exciting traditions. Fundraising through our Legacy Brick fundraiser so community members can leave their mark in history at the library. And valued partnerships with the Arts and Culture Committee, helping to bring beauty and accessibility to our spaces. These partnerships strengthen community bonds and extend library access beyond our walls. Next slide, please. And we come to our call to action. Our request tonight is about three things: sustaining core services, responding to measurable community growth, and protecting public access. This looks like providing secure technology in a world where more and more services can only be accessed online, infrastructure preservation so we can continue to have a safe space for patrons to enjoy, competitive staffing that enhances programming, library efficiency, and staff goals, expanded programming that remains educational, fun, and enriching from our littlest learners to our most experienced library users, avoiding digital caps so patrons can continue to access all of our materials equitably. I understand that a 5% increase can be seen as a lot. However, it is a request to responsibly maintain and stabilize services that are already being heavily utilized so that we can continue to be a staple of the East Windsor community. I have 2 more slides. I'm going to be done soon, I promise. This one says library love at the top. The library, above all else, is a space of safety, acceptance, inclusivity, learning, and community. February marks Library Lovers Month, and to celebrate, we invited patrons to share why they love the library by writing their thoughts on hearts that are now displayed in our lobby. The response has been overwhelming and deeply affirming. Patrons have described the library as a place where they feel welcomed, supported, and inspired. Many spoke about the comfort of familiar faces, the access to information that they rely on, and a sense of belonging they experience while there. These messages are a reminder that the library is more than just a building or a budget line. It's a living, breathing part of this community. The investments discussed tonight are not just about maintaining services, they're about preserving a space that people genuinely value, use, and love. Thank you much for your time and attention.
Questions or comments from anybody?
So I'll start. I'd just like to say, I know you guys have been chronically underfunded compared to other libraries across the state forever.
Yeah.
But you do a fantastic job and it's great to see the growth. I'm glad you guys are keeping it going.
Anybody else?
I just had two questions. One, I didn't see that you increased your utility line, and I know everybody is
Yeah.
seeing that. I was
It's
just,
actually like, I haven't seen too much of an increase,
Okay.
thankfully.
Yep.
I think the largest increase we have was like our trash disposal for 99, which is the annex building next door. And yeah, so that's
okay.
covered by that.
And then the other thing I saw was your insurance went up considerably.
It did,
So
yes,
what was that, the reason for
frightening.
that?
I truly don't know why it went up. I know that personally, I just got an email from like my mortgage company that said that my premium was probably going to rise just because of costs everywhere are rising. So we were pretty surprised.
All
by that.
services have gone up.
Yeah, I just didn't know if there was a specific area where it was.
Been like
Okay.
no damage or anything.
Yep.
We haven't like, made any claims or
Yeah,
anything.
that's just, I mean, that's a big jump, so.
Yeah, and I needed a little extra padding to help things for this coming year.
Yeah. No, I thank you guys. I mean, I love going over there. I use Hoopla, so I'm part of that person, that group. So, thank you.
So one of the, one thought that comes to mind following up on your response to Heather's question. You guys own 99 as well, and that helps supplement your operations, right? Is that self-sustaining plus, or does some of our appropriation go to cover the wear and tear, the trash collection, the insurance, all that
No,
stuff?
that's self-sustaining.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, we're able to use funds from 99 for stuff for the library as well.
If there are funds available.
Yeah.
Not always.
Yeah.
Management, so.
Yeah, we've had quite a few issues with boilers and things lately, so.
That's come out of the 99 money, so.
Yes.
We had two new boilers replaced recently, and then we had to repair the other two boilers.
And then we just repaired the porch outside.
And porch, yeah, so we've actually used those funds to do that work, not any money that goes to the library.
Thank you. Other questions or comments?
Just one comment. I really like seeing the outreach. These are times when people feel increasingly isolated. And it's so important that we have agencies within our community that reach out and try and bring people together and connect people. And when you're reaching out to seniors and elementary age kids and preschool, and it's really nice to see. And I hope it continues for a long time and improves and increases.
It's one of my great joys is to be able to go out into the community and meet people and just get people jazzed up about the library. I'll talk to anybody whether or not they want to hear about it or they don't want to hear about it.
Well, you did it for me. You did it for me tonight.
Thank you, folks, very much.
Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Amy, you're up.
I'm gonna start you with the Board of Finance, because that's the first one in your book under section 1. About the fifth thing back. It's 1054118.
What?
So we have a couple increases here. We are out for audit. We are finishing our third year with the audit firm and the audit we just finished. So we have to go out to RFP. So we are out to RFP right now. And I'm budgeting a 5% increase just based on what our last 3 years went up. When I started, I think we were about less than $40,000 and we are currently at 64.5. So, but they were our only people that RFP'd last time. We did the RFP, we had one respondent. And it was our current auditors and we kept them. But so we'll have to wait and see if we get any responses. I think we'll know in the next couple of weeks.
What was the feedback on why others didn't?
Because everybody's too busy and too far behind. They can't get any staff.
Okay.
Nobody's going into public accounting. So they can't get anybody. And as soon as people get their 3 years and can get their license, they're going to private jobs because nobody wants to work in public accounting. 15-hour days, Saturdays, weekends, traveling home on Saturday and up on Sunday to work Monday through Friday, 12 to 15 hours a day. is no fun. I did it for 3 years, not recommending it to anybody. I would not want my children to become a CPA.
Those who don't know, Amy also is a CPA.
Yes, I do maintain my CPA, which we'll talk about in the treasurer's budget. The other two items are the budget mailer and the annual report, and I think both of them just need to go up because I think we have $40 left in one line. And the mailer we don't have yet, but I ended up driving to New Haven to pick it up last year because our local people couldn't do it. So we ended up having CCM do it, but it meant going to New Haven to get it. So
Well, how do we use prior to CCM? I thought we've been with them for a while. That certainly is for the case for the annual report.
over in the industrial park,
Yeah, yep. Allied.
Allied, yeah. And they had done a fantastic job. And when I called him last year, he said, not interested in doing it. And I went, oh, thanks for letting me know. So that is the total of the Board of Finance. It's going up $3,625. Treasurer is after tax collector, but before all the activities and fees. So not just a few more pages back. Almost there, Bob.
Yeah.
I think that's just the tax collector pages, like her backup. All right, so the first one is full-time salaries. That hasn't increased. That is only me and no one else told you, but all the clerical staff are out of contract. So nobody has anything but their supervisory raises in their budgets who has clerical employees. The part-time employee, we did 2% for all of them. Our overtime looks like it's going down, but that's only because I had to get money this year. We did a lot of filling in for the tax office because our tax collector came in June. So over the summer, we had to help her office out, and it meant more overtime for my staff to be able to do that. So I got a transfer this year, so it's going up a little bit, but it looks like it's going down. And then the only other things, payroll services, every time we hire an employee, it costs us money. It costs us money to run W-2s. It costs us money to run 1095s, process payroll every 2 weeks. So that fee just keeps going up. And I have an increase in there because we are already where we would probably be over this year. And the last place is dues and fees. And the list on the bottom of the page shows everything that makes those up. And it's just small increases. GFOA National changed their structure. So instead of paying $200 for one person, now we have to pay $500, but anybody can go. So they changed their structure. So we didn't have a choice. We couldn't choose to just have one person like we've done in the past. And that isn't me. It's actually my assistant because she's a CPFO and needs to maintain a GFOA national membership to do that. Continuing ed, I have a CPA license. I need 40 credits a year. And the conferences for New England GFOA spring and fall count for that towards also Connecticut Society of CPA classes. I don't know if anybody has any question on that. So that increase is $606. Oh, the other BU is CCMO. The renewal is $100, but the annual conference has gone up each year. I think when I started going, it was about $50. Now it's a couple $150. So I don't know if it went to 300 this year. So it's $600 for the two of us, me and my other assistant, to go to the CCM annual conference in November. So that's the total. My budget's going up $3,350. Anybody questions on that? All right, so after activities and fees, we have an insurance line, 4157. I think it's in the middle of all the planning buildings, all their zoning commission. It's kind of in a weird spot, but you got to put it where your code tells you got to put it. So
Before or after planning?
it's in the middle of the commissions.
It's before veterans, but
So planning and zoning, it's after planning, but planning and zoning board of appeals come first, and then property insurance is next. And then there's more commissions, inlands, wetlands, and EDC after that. So we only have two lines. We have both the LAP and the deductible. The deductible I changed from 5,000 to 7,500 2 years ago. And I'm gonna leave that at 7,500 now. It doesn't take a lot though, if we have a $5,000 deductible and then $1,000 deductible or a $2,500 deductible to use that up pretty quickly. But in the past, I've been able to reallocate money around if we needed to. If you looked at the history of the three previous years plus current year and the next budget. So the only thing I have in here is an increase in the LAP insurance, and we are being told not more than 3%. So that should be a good number at the $7,300. My next one is in section 6. 7, behind debt. I have a lot more, so you'll be talking to me more than once, but behind debt is employee benefits. And I don't know why we're not doing all of them, but the only one on here is the pension. On tonight. So employee benefits is 10.
I went over them last week.
Okay. So the DB pension I have going up 34,209. I got the number today and it's within $500.
That's both good and bad.
So the good news is we have enough money in the budget. Bad news is we're only going to get a smidge of a savings based on the valuation that just showed up and I discussed today. So the number's good within a few bucks. I'll give you the number when we start to adjust lines, but.
I'll be on the 5th.
Okay. And that's it for pension, unless anybody has any, I guess technically we could do the 401 and the 457. As new people come in, they are going into hybrid or DC only plans. So as somebody leaves that's on the defined benefit plan, the older pension plan, the new people are coming in and they have 401As plus a lot of them with the hybrid have both a smaller defined benefit, but then a defined contribution. So every time we hire somebody new, the DC portion keeps going up. And then the 457 is a match, police, dispatch, and some admin people get matches in the 457. And that's just my best guess of what that number needs to be. Based on what we're trending, what we're doing each month. I do a lot of analysis when I'm putting together my budgets to make sure that what we have next year is going to have enough to cover us based on the 6 months we have so far this year and last year full year. You may have any questions?
Nope.
All right. Cover fire. Where are they in the book?
Get their own tab.
Oh. We'll stand over here so I can make sure I can see.
Oh, yeah, okay. I'm John Madigan. Oh, go ahead. John Madigan, the fire commissioner, and this is my deputy commissioner, Nick McStada. Want you to know that this budget was fully approved by the fire commission in entirety. There's one item that I'd like to speak of, and that's the $100,000 increase in CIP. We're trying to build a new fire station, and we've started the process a couple of years ago in getting a feasibility study and the renderings that are due in any time now. And then we have to start thinking about getting some money together for the plans, for the actual blueprints. So this is a start for that. And I just want to make sure that we can disapprove because we need it badly. We dearly do. Want to go ahead there, Nick?
We've had some really good discussions in the last week with Jamie Foster's office and Jamie Foster, leveraging opportunities for grants. And there are grant and bonds available for us. She did say it makes it much more competitive when the town puts skin in the game. And this would be a great start towards that. We know we're going to need blueprints. The cost of blueprints are going to be pretty expensive. There is, Jerry, what's the name of the other fund? The capital improve, not the community investment fund. right, which is also available, which could be used to offset the cost of this. So we're really looking at leveraging all the available vectors that we can to make sure that we can build the fire station at a reasonable cost to the taxpayers. But if we don't put this in the budget now, we're going to be just kicking the can down the road. And the feasibility study showed that it is not a desire, it is a need, and it is something that has to happen. So I want to just tip my hat and, you know, as Jay said, on behalf of the commission, the chief and his team did a really good job putting this budget together, and turn it over to Chief for the presentation.
This is just a slide for our proposed budget. Next. The first couple will go pretty quick. For those that don't know, we were established in 1896. We serve Broadbrook, as well as really the town of East Windsor with our partnership with Wells Point. 24/7 emergency response and medicals. Some of those things we do: hazmat, structure fires, motor vehicle accidents, EMS, fire alarms, public service calls, and mutual aid responses, both in town in conjunction with Wells Point and out of town as well. This slide is just a trend, showing you a trend over the last 6 years. 2021 obviously stands out. That was a year, there was quite a few summer storms, some winter storms, which increased that. But when you come back down to 2022 at 791, you can see that it's steadily increasing year from year. This year we hit for 2025, January to December, 907 calls for service. I think that's like, if I figure it out, 7% increase overall. If you want to go to the next slide, Jason. We anticipate this is gonna just keep going, obviously. Last night at the planning and zoning, they approved the new apartments going in on North Road. That's in our jurisdiction. But this slide here, well, it's slightly redundant from the slide before. It just goes to show you, since we've been keeping tabs on our calls for the last 17 years in our reporting management system, that it's steadily increased. There's a couple of peaks, and those are storm years, and then it goes back down, but you can see the years follow. It's a steady increase in calls for service, and it's the ladies and gentlemen down there that volunteer do a great job. Part-time staff that's filling in those absences during, you know, while they're at work and everything is really huge. Next. Where does the money go? We're asking for 23% in CIP of our budget, 300,000. Staffing, I can't see it, so like 28, I believe.
Yep.
Fire incentive is 14%. Fire incentive, as you know, is the guys and gals getting up, responding to calls, is there as a retention and recruitment, as well as getting recruitment, right? Volunteers are hard to come by these days. Not a lot of people really want to do things for nothing anymore. This here, the firefighter incentive, it helps them. They ruin a set of clothes at a fire, fuel and gas, all the small things that you wouldn't typically think of that they're usually doling out of their pocket to help provide a service to the town. Payroll expenses is 7%. That seems a little low. Oh, that's payroll expenses. That's like your workers' comp, FICA, all that kind of stuff. Equipment testing, 1%, training, 3%. Equipment supplies, 6%, facilities. That's our gas, electricity, and building maintenance line, 4%. Administrative, that's our, I'd have to do my thing, to be honest with you. That's 8%. Let me find it. I don't know if I have it listed out. But apparatus maintenance, dispatching fees went up last year. I spoke at the review a couple weeks ago, and originally it was at 16,000 and change. That went up after we came to an agreement with keeping the ambulance in town at our dispatch center. So that fee, we already overspent this year, and that's what our upcoming cost is gonna be. So that's where everything's going in a nutshell. Next. I can't see what this says on the top there, but
Nothing. Doesn't say anything.
oh. Staffing to maintain coverage during off-peak, volunteer hours, volunteer incentive program, training and certifications, payroll-related statutory costs. This must be, where the increases are coming from. Next. This here is showing you a snapshot of our part-time line at the top of our budget. Adopted last year, total was 484, 226. This year requested is 550, 720, an increase of 66,494, an overall change of 13.7 just for that section of our budget. As of 113, we've expended 156,000 of our 303 for our part-time firefighters already. This is a good thing and a bad thing. Would be overspent. It's going to be overspent if we continue the trend with filling the shifts, which is a great thing. Great service for the town. Bad thing because it's probably going to have to dig into our unexpended fund balance if we go over. Same thing with our firefighter incentive line. The first two quarters totaled 88,591. 155,000 is the budget line. We're more than half of that already for the year. That's a very fluid line. That all depends on how many calls we go to, the duration of calls. That's what drives that. Training for our members, professional development, we'll get into that a little bit later. So we're already looking, if it stays on that trend, we're gonna be about 20 to 25,000 shy of that line already. Next slide, please. This slide shows our operational side of the things below the part-time salaries. Last year, we was adopted for 613,445. This year, we're requesting 757,860, an increase of 144,415, for an overall increase of 23.5, mainly due to dispatching fees, the firefighter training, officer professional development, fuel for an additional vehicle, and the CIP allocation for a new line for the firehouse. So really, if you took the 100,000 out that we're asking for CIP, it's only an increase of 44,000, which isn't that much in the grand scheme of things, in my opinion, for the service that the town's getting. Next.
Jerry, real quick on the professional development, we talked about, if you guys don't know, something that the chief has initiated, the officer professional development is rather a unique thing in the volunteer fire service. There's not a lot of towns that do that. The volunteer, the VCOS, volunteer chiefs, officers, of the IAFC, yeah. Basically, that's the volunteer chiefs getting together nationwide. They say that professional development is one of the greatest retention tools that you can have for a volunteer force. And I can tell you that what they've put together is top-notch, first-class training for things that are not in the traditional line of firefighter 1, firefighter 2, officer 1. It's leadership training. It's stuff that you don't normally get. So kudos to that. I think it helps retention, and it's something that is really a force multiplier.
Next slide, please. So we're asking for roughly an additional 36,000 for the part-time staff, which ensures daytime coverage, critical for daytime responses. Those gaps when the volunteers aren't available. Again, this is making up that shortfall that we anticipate we're gonna hit this year and next year, because we're really striving to fill every shift that we can. Obviously, we don't fill every shift that we can. A lot of my staff are career firefighters from other places, and a lot of times they don't know if they're gonna get overtime or, you know, if there's family sickness or whatever, they call out. If I can't fill that shift, it goes unfilled. Well, we've got a pretty good group of people down there now. Some older fellows that are not old, no offense here to anybody in the room, but
Look at me.
they're retired, so they're, you know, able to pick up those last minute drops, which is why we're in the predicament we're in with overspending. And then the volunteer incentive program, again, we're already short. I showed you that. That's why we're asking for an additional 32,200. Next. We did make some cuts. I went back 3 or 4 years. I noticed that initially when we separated from the town and we ended up getting our own marshal, I think the initial hit was around 13,000 that he spent. I believe a lot of that was getting familiar, setting things up, getting everything organized. And now the trend was a lot less money being spent for inspections and stuff like that. So I was able to decrease that. Workers' compensation went down a little bit based on the trend of what we paid for the last 3 or 4 years. So next. What you're getting for the increases, you're getting the 24/7 emergency response for fire suppression and rescue. It's not just fires. Obviously, everybody knows fires aren't what they used to be back in the day. It's more EMS, it's more vehicle accidents, rescues, stuff, things of that nature. Next. Fire department is no longer a full volunteer fire department. We're a combination volunteer-based model. That helps the need for a full-time fire department currently, which is great. And I hope that this model is sufficient for many years to come. It really hinges on what our volunteers do. You know, as they get older, they're saying, I'm done doing this, and new people are coming in. That's gonna transition at some point, but I'm hoping that this is gonna stay status quo for quite some time. Firefighter incentives headed full-time, instead of full-time hires. Again, we're trying to take care of our people so that we retain them, so that we're not having to put extra staff on, hire other people. Next. So our total overall budget increase ask is 210,000. The estimated impact for the mill rate, best that I did, I inflated a little bit. I think when I talked to Amy last year, they said they always go up because there's always you're not a guarantee that you're gonna get everybody's money, tax money.
We do 98.5%.
So I figured it was gonna be close to an increase of 0.28 mils. So it's gonna go from 1.6 mils to 1.88. Overall budget increase of 19.2. I'm waiting for the numbers from Helen to see if our grand list went up. So that could actually drop that mill rate, which would be fantastic.
Could go the wrong way too.
It could go the wrong way too. Yep. I hope it doesn't, especially with the new buildings coming up, but that's not till down the road. But while 19.2% seems like a ton of money, in the grand scheme of things in our budget, it's not. If you were talking 19.2% in the town's budget, I would say you're absolutely right. This is a lot of money. Next slide, please. So what's that look like? Homes assessed at 150,000. The average I took was between 150 and 350,000 for assessed value. Your yearly tax increase would be between $42 a year and $98 a year. Obviously, we could do all kinds of circumstances, and if anybody wants to sit down with me and ask me what their fire tax would be, I'd be more than happy to talk to them. breaking it down even further to monthly costs, you're looking at, for the same 150 to 350, you're talking about $3.50 a month or to $8.17 a month, give or take. So if you like Dunkin' Donuts, that's your $3.50. If you're a Starbucks kind of person, here's your $8.17. You know, and I put this slide up here just to really drive home that really, in the grand scheme of things, while it looks like a lot, and I can't speak for everybody, obviously, but I know I waste money on worse things than a better, you know, fire department, fire protection. So next. The increases are driven by filling the part-time shifts, which is a good thing and a bad thing, as we discussed earlier. Majority is tied up in the personnel and the incentives, which is still much, much more cost-effective than hiring or needing a full-time fire department. You'd be talking millions of dollars. Reflects our actual operational needs and supports the safety of our members and staff while providing reliable emergency response with the continued professional development training that we've set forth for our officers and members. Next. Questions?
Just to, not to humble brag on Chief Bancroft's accomplishments, but they've also taken in 15 new members this past year, which is quite an accomplishment when you
Yeah,
consider.
Well, it was a good influx. Not all of them unfortunately panned out. We only kept a small handful due to people moving, finding out the time commitment, what it is to actually be a volunteer, going to training, having to come to drills, going to calls. You know, it's not just get in and you're a lump on a log. Like, we need you to participate and we need you to give time. That's what this, you know, the volunteerism is. So, but yeah, we did have a large influx, but we did actually lose quite a few people too, just due to that kind of stuff.
But every new volunteer has to go through firefighter one training. It's not like, you know, in the 1980s when you just went and trained with your department and put on an SCBA and fought a fire. It's professional rigor, it's standards, and that's with the volunteers. So there's a cost associated with training those volunteers and keeping up the standards too. So it's much more cost effective than a full-time fire station would be. It's a really good cost effective model, having a part-time volunteer hybrid model.
Questions?
Questions or comments for the chief?
Last year, you're having a hard time filling shifts. Seems like you're doing a lot better this year.
Yeah. Like I said, we took in some newer people that were already retired and they're picking up those shifts. And we got some other new younger people that are looking just for extra money. While they work somewhere else, they're able to just pick up shifts as they become free. We've had some people that were active military overseas that have just come back. So that gives us two more people that just came back from overseas that are starting to pick up shifts now, which helps us because they were individuals that actually picked up quite a few shifts. So we've got a pretty good group of people. Like I said, we built up a pretty robust staff.
You have a pretty good increase in the professional services. I don't think I saw that reflected in your,
Yeah,
what was that for?
that professional service line, there was a lot of stuff in, I believe it was supplies that I thought belonged in professional services.
Okay.
Stuff that would be professional services like excuse me.
You moved all the testing over, right?
Yeah, all of our testing stuff, the ladder testing, hose testing, air compressor testing, all that kind of testing stuff that was in a different section. That's really not supplies. It's more of a professional service that we have done.
Yep.
So I took it out of supplies and moved it up to there. So kind of trying to juggle it around and put things where it should belong. That was my goal, and it may happen again next year. The more I get comfortable in the spot, it's been a year this month, so far so good. But yeah, that's why there was a big jump.
Okay.
Kind of switching things around. For some decreases in other lines, but that one was got the increases.
So you said the supplies and equipment, you made the reductions in and moved that up to professional services?
Well, yeah, not all of them, but most of them, yeah.
Okay. So there were,
5,200, yeah, it doesn't make up for, yeah. There's other lines that moved there. The majority of it came out of supplies and equipment.
Yeah.
I honestly can't tell you exactly where it came from.
Flow testing was a big increase too.
any other questions or comments for the chief? Rick?
I recently had occasion to observe your emergency response up close and personal. And I want to tell you how how much appreciated it is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank the gentleman who came
Well,
on that call, if you would.
Any other questions or comments?
How much, what percentage of your calls are EMS?
probably about 70, 60 to 70.
Really, that much? Wow.
It is, and that's across the board, anywhere you go.
Yep.
Any town, any agency that's doing supplemental EMS, the EMS calls outshine everything else. The population, I believe, when we talked a few weeks ago, somebody said the town of East Windsor is an older population town. So it reflects that.
Mm.
Show.
And when I was in, there was a few firefighters that had MRT or EMT. What's it look like now? Everybody got something or?
The majority, I would say 90% of our staff is MRT, which is now EMR or EMT. Yeah. It's probably, I think we have slightly more EMTs than EMRs, but which is the higher level of care. But everybody that comes in kind of gets the bug, and once they go to a few calls, they feel the need that they want to do another aspect of firefighting, which is emergency care, and they go and they get certified.
It's changed quite a bit over the years.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
I just thumbed back through your presentation. I didn't see it reflected, but what is driving dues and fees? If you said that, I missed it.
That is our professional development and our
You
training.
did say that.
That's, to me, it's important, I think, to tell these people that are giving their time and away from their families to put it up. So they're all into it. If they want to go to training, we should be training them. Along with the professional development, I'm trying to make sure that the department's set up for succession. As these officers are trained, I want them, if something happens to the top 3 guys, I want these people to be able to step into that role, have the training, not be scrambling. That's not the way to run a business, in my opinion. We should foster that, and we should, encourage them to get that continued education, professional development.
That's the demonstrated retention, the VCAS.
I get that. I just, again, your pie chart doesn't directly line up with the expenses listed, so I was just trying to figure out what was where. Okay,
Yeah, no problem.
anybody else have anything? Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Now your mother.
All right, batting cleanup. Chief Carl, Deputy Chief Murphy. Section over.
They are in their own section, like 4 or 5 or 3 here.
Are you some of this real estate?
Right.
I'm sorry, 10-2. Yeah, 2.
Actually, 2. Pretty much all the shit is right there.
Totally gonna get computer virus. Yeah, so I won't get any USB that in there.
Won't get any viruses from that. You may steal some data, but we'll still.
You can have it. So. What the? Before we get started, did you firefighters leave a note that says you're my hero? Is that for us? Yes. A sticky note here? No? Oh, okay.
There.
Chief, what would you like to lead off with? I think my PowerPoint starts off. Oh, it's got all of them? Please. Yeah, so, hold on there. So there's good news and bad news. Obviously, the good news is for the folks that presented tonight, because my budget's gonna make their increases look like lunch money. So bad news is for us. So we'll just keep along with the jokes.
You think that's humorous?
No. For them, I'm putting the good news on them. That's the only thing I can do. Can you get it up? Do you see the presentation? I just gotta go through like a million steps to do it. Here it comes. Oh. Let's see if my phone works in here. You see it?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, there it is. When I have to, if I have to use it. Okay.
Do you have, let me see that, your pointer. I think you've got a, I need to plug it in.
Oh, no, you're gonna drive, because otherwise, yeah, you do, but I just wanted to use the laser.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna point it at you when you're supposed to click it.
Show up. Yes. Laser on this. So, all right, perfect. So this is obviously, we'll start off with the police department budget and, a little closer, I gotta move because, moving target is hard to hit, so I'm not gonna move. This is a presentation for 26-27 budget and public safety plan presented by myself, Deputy Chief Murphy. And for the first time in a long time, we don't have Chairman Leach up there. We have Chairman Reardon. First time in a long time. I won't say how long. First time in a long time. Next, please. So this is, I think the top part, we'll just talk about some of the police department updates and some of the things that we continue to still do. Citizens Academy, most of the people in the room have been part of that. If you haven't, it's fantastic. It's a great education of what we do. Tonight will just be a generalization. There's just no way we could talk about all the stuff, but I think it's important for us to put out to the community, what's the police doing? What are we trying to do for the community? Because that's exactly what we are. The police is a community, community is a police. The other thing we try to do is we always try to reach out to the youth. So the deputy chief started for the Connecticut running a FBI youth academy when he was down in New Britain. When we were able to get him up here, he brought that program up here and he's been running it for the last 2 years and we keep going. So it's a week-long program that we reach out to the youth and they get an understanding, not only just about what policing is, it's leadership principles that they can use in anything that they do in life. We obviously started and we maintain the East Windsor PD Explorers. We might be growing quite a bit because Windsor's collapsed, right? So we got all their gear and we might be taking on some of their Explorers, which we're pretty excited about. This year, we've been working on for a while, tier 1, 2, and 3. It's a post-standard accreditation. We actually received it. I'll talk about it more later in the presentation, but in tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, those are standards that you have to meet, and they are policies, procedures, things that you need to do to be accredited police department. But you also have to show that you're doing them. So there's things called proofs. You can't just say you're doing them, you have to prove it. So we have our tier 3 accreditation evaluation coming up in the spring. I think it's May, right? Yep. So we're going to have to show that we do and follow hundreds of policies. So we're excited about that. We think we're ready. Lieutenant Lieb heads that up and he's done a fantastic job. This year we upgraded tasers, a little expensive, but we did tasers. We put on our new website, and if you haven't gone to our website, eastwindsorpd.gov, make sure you're in Connecticut and not New Jersey. You'll be disappointed if you get the New Jersey one. On that website, there's an interactive dashboard that talks about our crime trends, our traffic. You can see all kinds of stuff in there. We have demographics for transparency about how many, gender and race and the types of things that we do on there. You can deep dive and find a lot of details. You can see our daily log and calls for service. People are always like, hey, chief, what happened over there? Oh, if you go to our website, you might be able to know. There's other resources on there. There's a resource for filling out data. If you have a child that has needs or even an adult in your home and you want to let the police department know in the event that we're responding there, whatever type of personal issues that are happening, or you've got going on in that house. But there's pistol permits and so much information I could speak for 2 hours on that alone. We always try to keep up with our computers. That's more of an IT thing. But again, we have a 5-year plan in IT. It's pushed out, so when we're going to have to replace certain computers. We heard it tonight. Computers get outdated. Ours get outdated very, very quick with the types of things we're doing, and you just got to stay up with technology. Medical equipment and cruiser supplies are always an issue. So we keep up with those. This year, actually in July, we took possession of an updated drone. It's the Skydio. In the event that we had a DJI, it's a Chinese manufactured drone. In the event that that's going to cause problems for us with the Department of Defense or any type of litigation, it was up on last year. It was up in the legislators, and if they restricted us, that's the Skydio is an American-made drone, so we wouldn't have to lose our drone program. I don't think it's going to go there, but you never know. So I just want to let you know some of the updates that we did, where some of your money's going. Next slide.
Before I let you off of that, can I ask you 2 questions?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Fire away anytime.
The tasers, that was state dollars?
Tasers were,
Maybe.
That was Jamie.
that was Jamie's.
Yeah.
Yes, part of that was Jamie. Part of it was Jamie.
Part of it was
Yeah,
equipment.
it was half Jamie and
Okay.
half.
I think half last year money.
Last year money, yes.
And then how did you pay for the drone update?
The drone was the grant. It was the auto theft. We used the drone for the auto theft grant. So with the auto theft grant, we received a soft Durango unmarked that we can put out there for any type of thing that we want to do for auto theft or traffic or anything like that in the Skydio. Thank you. I love the quizzes. Keep them coming. Because
I'm not.
No, I want you to. I want you to, because I'm thinking like, oh, geez, I got to think about this.
Those are just 2 things I wasn't sure about.
Yeah. No. No, I'm just saying, please ask away. Now's the time. This is personnel update. You can't see the top, but I think it just basically says East Windsor Department Personnel Update. We are in the process of onboarding 2 new police officers. They'll both start the academy the end of March. We were supposed to start the first week of March. They're going to the New Britain Academy. They got extended all the way to the end of April. And now we believe they're definitely starting, because we have their packets and their information the end of March here. We are next line down. You can see we're currently completing the background check for an additional officer. We had a dispatcher go to an officer's position, so we're going to have to replace a dispatcher if it goes through. And then we have this individual that's going through the background now. We believe he's going to survive. We don't know entirely yet. All the information hasn't come back, but we believe he's going to survive. So we're excited about that. 2 officers will start the academy.
The 2 officers are starting the academy, one of whom is still going through the background check.
Yes.
It's not like 2 + 1,
No.
it's 2 and 1.
Yes, it's a total of 2. One we know currently works for us as a dispatcher. I can't remember her name, but it's my daughter. Anyways. Told you I have to keep the humor going. Anyways, and the other one, Mr. Omar Rodriguez. Yes, Omar Rodriguez. I'll remember when he starts showing up, but anyways, he's doing the background. He's in the background right now. I talked to the background investigator just a few hours ago, and everything seems to be going well. So our hope is there. We just recently promoted Dan Tessier from detective to sergeant, so we'll be putting a detective in there pretty soon. We had testing. There's 5 officers put in, so we're pretty excited about that. That's a special assignment position. It's not a full-time promotion. We moved our ACO, animal control officer, from part-time to full-time. You guys graciously allowed us to do that with some, we lost Officer Valencia. We lost Sergeant Knowles this year. We put off
hiring them while we could get some, transfer some money from some lines to make that full-time. It's extremely important. We've been part-time animal control for a lot of years. And the part-time positions are tough to keep because when everybody goes through their training and stuff like that, then they end up getting full-time positions in other towns. As you know, ACOs are not easily replaced. So when you get somebody that's working part-time, that's very good. Ours is exceptional. Our ACO right now is exceptional. We don't want to lose her. She's been challenged this year. I'll say it over and over again. I've been working here 30 years, August, and I have not seen in a period of time the amount of challenges she'd have between dog bites and dog issues and things like that she's had to deal with. Some of them, working through euthanizing some of the animals that need to be euthanized, as sad as it is. I've not seen the volume. So we're excited about her being full-time. We implemented a new fleet maintenance and equipment supply tracker. We have, obviously, we have 20-something vehicles, and so we have a IT guy that made us a SharePoint. So the administration can get daily reports right on our phone and what's happening with our fleet, what's happening with our equipment, so we can step up on, checking out, making sure that, everything's running and working right and see the trends, especially with fleet maintenance. We can see trends in some of the issues. And the PD was recently awarded the FBI LEDA Trilogy Award. This is your command staff, myself, the deputy chief, and the 2 lieutenants finished all 3 FBI LEDA classes. There's an executive, a command, and a supervisor one. A lot of this training had been done in the past. The deputy chief and I have 3 of the top police trainings. I had them when I was here. The deputy had them before he came here. And it's really important that your command staff stays up with the leadership and the best trends and what's happening in policing. And we really feel that we work really hard at modeling the type of behavior inside the department on how to treat people so that when your officers leave outside of the department, they treat people fairly. And I think that, we've done a pretty good job. Policing's not easy. There's always going to be a negative encounter that we're going to have, but we try to do that. We do that through these classes, budgeting, how to supervise, how to train, how to mentor, and most importantly, some type of succession plan. If I were to retire, or the deputy chief were to leave, or something would happen, we have these officers and lieutenants pushing that knowledge down to the supervisors. All of our sergeants are personally involved in the LEDA classes, and some of them are coming up on the end of it. So we're training those, so we're excited. They don't often come around here. We try to do it locally, so we're not paying for hotels and things like that. I know next year, Weathersfield PD has all 3 classes coming through, so we're going to send our officers down there. So great, we're excited about that. Next slide. This just basically every year, it's the same thing on there. I just update the dates, but it's basically an outline of expected costs of this being the police department's really plan to provide public safety. That's for those of you who can't read, you don't have to worry about it. That's basically what that says. Next slide. Projects for 2025. What did we complete? I think that says completed in 2025, the top part. Yes. Goals and priorities. We went live with our new website. Oops, nope. Can you go back?
It didn't change.
It did change. Go back one.
Oh, sorry.
Yes. We went live with our new PD website. Again, I encourage you to go there if you want to find some information to look. Police department training and CIT training for officers. I'm going to take a break right here and get a drink of water and let the deputy chief talk a little bit about the importance of CIT and the training that we do with our officers.
Yeah, so just briefly, everyone hears the term de-escalation now. It's not just a buzzword. I mean, when I got on the job, it was just talking to people. Now they want to put a term behind it, but we don't do any kind of that customer-based service training in academy. You learn that on the job. You learn that with wisdom. At 46 years old, I speak to people differently than I did when I was a 22-year-old rookie. What they're giving officers now is crisis intervention training, CIT. We get called as the repository of everything. So if there's a kid wigging out in school, if there's someone having a mental episode in their home, if it's a veteran with PTSD, we're getting calls and we're not dealing with the same people because everybody has their own struggles. So we're teaching and training folks to utilize verbal skill sets because we want to decrease the uses of force, get people the services they need. A lot of this stuff isn't a criminal matter. It's a mental health matter. And we get more and more, and we're seeing an influx of these. So we made a goal to get the entire agency run through this additional training that you get. Because frankly, what we get in academy is it's palpable. It's not really much to talk about. This is above and beyond professionals who do just teach people how to deal with somebody who's having a mental crisis. And again, we don't have the resources of a Hartford where they have full-time social workers working. We've tried that and they didn't have the need in the town, but when we do have the needs, we're going to be the first ones there. You should know how to talk to folks. So we're putting our entire staff through there, and I believe we only have 2 people left of the entire agency who need to get that training.
Perfect. So just to capitalize on that, there's no other police department that has all their officers in CIP training. And, it's a model response. It starts when the dispatcher gets a 911, somebody's in crisis. They're asking the right questions. The officers are getting the information from the dispatchers. They're thinking to themselves, well, what do I have here? Is there a crime? What kind of policies? What kind of information do I need? Do I have the right resources? Do I need the fire department? Do I need the ambulance? Do I need a social worker? Do I need that? It's a model response. And so the idea is when you get there, it's not just like, okay, most of the time we're going to mental health issues. It's not a police matter. It's not crime. I don't want to make it a crime. And unfortunately, if you guys saw in the news, Hartford had a negative incident, terrible, a couple of days ago. And, that was born out of a call for help from social work. Social work asked for the police. They got there over an hour. And I'm not going to talk about what happened there or any of that stuff. I wasn't part of any of that. But unfortunately, somebody was shot and killed by the police. And it's a negative, we want to try to avoid that. Sometimes you can't. It's inevitable. But if our officers are trained and they're thinking, okay, what are we going to see? What are we going to have there? The other thing we do with our training is quarterly training more than anybody. And we're doing building clearance. We're doing those things that are very, they're low frequency here, but high risk, right? So anything low frequency, you don't do all the time, but as a high risk, the outcome is bad. Everybody knows the police buy the outcome of anything we do. We get involved in something good, something bad, we're going to get sued. We buy the outcome as soon as we're there, we're going to buy the outcome. We want to put all of that, steal all of that information, put it on our side and have good outcomes, not negative outcomes. So that leads us to tier 3 state accreditation. Like I said, we got that. We have policies and procedures that we have to follow that keeps our accreditation, puts us at a higher standard than most. And we're way ahead of the police accountability as far as that goes. We're still advanced the radio project. I left that on there. It's probably going to be on there for a couple of years. We keep moving forward. Every Tuesday we have a meet. I know you're rolling, right? Is it Cosi, Italian for so-so? It's going so-so. So anyways, but we're moving forward with that. And, that's a difficult project. As you guys know, we're replacing a 20-something-year-old radio and we're trying to make it work for everybody. Work done on the police department building project. Everybody knows Board of Education is looking for schools. Fire department's definitely a need for a fire department. Police department needs a building. About a year ago, we sort of went out and we said, okay, you know what do we really need? We contracted with an architect, Brian Humes. He's come up. He came through 2 renditions. We rejected 2 or almost 3 renditions because the first one was too expensive. The second one wasn't going to be feasible and it was too expensive. We want a reasonable plan. The cost estimate just came back for the police department. We're going to have to go back to them because it's a little out of bounds for where I want it to be. And we're going to have to reshape it again. But we're in the process of doing that work for the police department budget in hopes to bring it before you guys at some point. And it's going to be reasonable, understanding that there's a certain amount of bond money. There's a certain amount of infrastructure sort of grants that are out there. There's a certain amount of money and we can't be, looking for all of it. So we're going to try to be reasonable, assess the issues that we have in our police department, high liability. Again, our booking room's out of date, some of the traffic coming through the police department. And we inherited some land, real estate, when you come into our lobby to the right that used to be Parks and Recs and stuff. And we're going to try to make that and utilize that for the best possible space it can be. So we'll be bringing that forward, but that's one of the projects we worked on in 2025 and we'll continue to work on. And 5-year strategic plan for IT. We really honed in looking at a 5-year lookout for when we're going to have to replace body cameras, when we're going to have to replace computers and all kinds of security and stuff like that. So we completed that. We have a look. If you ever wanted to know what we're going to look like, we can share that. Again, it's a SharePoint and, it's transparent. We just want to be transparent. This is, we got nothing to hide. This is what we're looking at. This is what we want to do. So we completed that for those projects. Next slide. That says projects and goals moving forward, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So top is projects for 2026. Traffic division, you've heard myself and the deputy chief and everybody talk about traffic in East Windsor. It's community policing and it's traffic. We're going to try to get a traffic division. Unfortunately, we're down 2 officers. I spoke about that. We have a couple that are injured. The school still wants an SRO. We tabled that for a year. So, you know, it's comes to bodies, but it's still a priority for us. It's still something we're trying to do. There are some things that we can work within the traffic division. We've talked about speed cameras, although I don't know, that's a long way. There's a lot of real estate and road to get covered before that would even happen, if it would happen. But that's part of the traffic division. We're still trying to get things worked out for connection for fiber. Again, we have a hard time getting all that data, all the cars, all the body cameras, all the information that comes into the police department. It's getting choked down to like 40 meg, and we really need that 1 gig. It's in the works. So we're hoping that we can finish that project this year. Continue with the radio as we talked about. I think that'll be on there next year. Continue with the architect to develop a modern police department. Again, talking about reasonable. C3 curriculum in the 5th grade. We tabled our SRO. And if I'm talking too fast, you guys got to stop me, just stop me. But we tabled our SRO, which also sidelined our DARE. When we lost Officer Valencia down to Georgia, relocated her family, we lost our DARE. We wanted to do DARE curriculum and train Officer Sanchez. It was determined that the C3 program was a little bit better. C3 is drugs and alcohol, but it adds a component of safe mental health, and some conversations with 5th grades. The school is asking us as recently as today to start looking at what are we going to do for 4th grade, because DARE was very successful in 4th grade. And we're going to try to do something, but unfortunately it's bodies. It's really comes down to bodies.
You say DARE was 4th grade?
Yeah.
Did they lower that? It used to be 6th.
A long time ago, when I used to teach there, and I'm talking a long time ago, I could not teach there now. I couldn't teach it back then, but it was 6th grade. One of the things I was not very successful at was teaching 6th graders. The teacher could never leave the room. So I was like, you're tethered to me because I'm outnumbered. So, but they did a great job. Sergeant Chant did a great job with all that. But yes, they lowered it. They did a sort of a DARE 2.0 sort of thing. It was different when it was back in the 97, 98. 1997, 98.
That's my vintage, man.
That was me before I was married and had kids. I could probably do it now that I have kids, but before I was like, guys are moving too fast. Anyways, that's a C3 program, which we paid for through money that came through us for substance abuse legislation. We get it every year. We haven't been spending a lot of it, so we worked with our treasurer and our partners, Melissa, and some of the folks to talk
That's
about.
the settlement money.
Settlement, yeah, settlement, yep. So we used some of that for that, and there's some other things that we gotta start using some of that money for. And then we are going to try to implement a new alarm program. Again, we have a lot. I had this on there last year. We tried to use our current software, next gen. It's difficult to use the alarms, but we go into a lot of these repetitive alarms, and we have a warning system, but we really need to start building them, because unless there's some teeth to your bite, they're not fixing their alarms.
You need an ordinance for that, or do you have one?
We have one.
We just don't use it.
We don't use it, and we have to probably update it because there's municipal appeals is a little bit wonky in there. We have to try to do something like that. So we have to change that. But initially, I didn't want to try to look at this because it's not in place until we could find software that we can generate it. Right now, the CAD, for example, say you're going to Walmart. Well, there might be 3 or 4 locations in Walmart. It's hard to do the billing off of the CAD, and it's complicated, but we got to find a better system. And I think we have a solution for that. We might try to tackle that this year. Otherwise, you'll see it next year. So everything takes longer than you think it does. So if you could go to the next slide. You guys have I don't have anything new, but I don't know what you have, but I think you have the you have the commentary page. So when I talk about a line item, do you have the page that explains what the police department is using that for?
Not in the book.
Okay, you don't. Okay, you don't.
And you
Okay.
have the budget sheet
Yep.
that has revised budget, your
Okay,
approved.
perfect. Okay. So if you have a question about what line item and what we spend it from, the police department has long, I had to take my glasses off here. The police department has long provided a budget commentary sheet, and it explains out of each line item you're about to see what we use it for. So if you had any questions, we could forward that to you guys. if you want.
We'll make sure that the board gets a copy of that, and then if there are questions that come up with that, we can talk about it when we start actually amending the budget.
Yep, 100%. Okay, so, and I have a sheet that's driving some of this. So if you can go to the next page. So, I've been before you guys for the last 2 years. This is probably my fourth budget. I was doing them as a lieutenant and deputy chief, acting deputy chief. I helped out acting chief Hart. This is my third one as a chief, and because of collective bargaining and because of the timing of the sun and the moon and all things great, I've come in with very low numbers. But there comes a time in everyone's life where you have to pay. And this is my time to pay. So, so beat me up. I could take the best on tonight. Cameras off. We're good to go. Kill me. So anyways, clerical, top line clerical, you'll see an increase or a change of $4,124. That is not budget. That's supervisors. That's supervisor. I'm thinking of clerical. That's a supervisor. In the clerical line, we have our supervisors. We have 2 supervisors, 2 clerical. They have contractual raises, and that is the contractual raises at 2.5%, I believe, for our 2 supervisors. The officers line, where you'll see the largest increase, this reflects the 2 years of collective bargaining. We were out for 2 years. Well, the first year we have right now, and the year we're coming into, because this starts in July. So that what's driving that is this first part right here. If you could, I guess you can't see it, but this number right here, it's lower than what we had last year by 51,000 and change, because we transferred money out of what we were given to 2 line items, one to cover the deputy chief's $5,000 salary, and one to cover the ACO, which I will talk a little bit more. So this is a little bit less than what we have, but by law, this is what the number we're going off of. So my request and ask is this, which is the 247,692. That's raises for the 2 years for the officers. That is step raises. Most of our officers are young. I think more than half are in a collective bargaining step raise. So when you go from year 1 to 2, or 2 to 3, 3 to 4, and how you go up, you get step raises. Some of those step raises are large. Because there's a lot of step raises in there, that's a larger number than just the cost of living increase off of the recent collective bargaining. Any questions on that before we move on? Dispatchers, the same thing. You got step raises there. You got collective bargaining. Administrative salaries, you got 2% increase. That's the 5,729. That's the deputy chief and I. PD overtime, I left flat. You could see it's pretty flat in there. We've never hit that number. Just being honest, we've never hit that number. Last couple of years with the vacancies, like I said, right now we're down 4 people. We have 2 on alternative duty, 2 that are going to the academy. So when they're on alternative duty, they're not filling shifts, overtime goes up. The collective bargaining, if it finally goes through, has some mechanisms in it where we can look to control some overtime. So I am optimistic that this number, this is the best number I can give you to be optimistic that we can be close to this overtime. And we're going to try to make it with the things that we have for the first time and forever in the contract, that we can control some of the overtime. The overtime, unfortunately, was being controlled by other things. Collective bargaining. Training salary. We went up just a little bit on the training salary. The training I talked about before, the CIT, the year event that we do for emergency services, all the quarterly training, all the trainings required are triggered by the Police Accountability Act. Like, we got to sit for 4 hours and go through body camera training every year, which I'll be honest with you, it's like being trained on how to flush a toilet. Like, you do it all the time, you don't have to do it, but it's ridiculous. But it's in there, so we do ridiculous training. Nothing we can do about it. So anyways, there's a lot of that training that's in there that they just threw in there, and then we have to do it. And there's Can't get away from it. And then longevity, that stays flat. So the increase there is 278,542. Any questions on that? Next slide. So in this slide right here, this is all people. That slide that you just saw, that's all people. This is all things, right? So professional services, we went up $500 because the cost of living of everything going up. We just did an increase. The dog fund contribution, this is everything in this line. You see we're asking for 105,13. It's an addition of 19,713 because we started with that 85,400, which money was transferred in from my salary line before to get that 84. This is everything that it takes for an ACO to run. This is the salary, the benefits, the professional services, the pound, and everything that would be associated with the animal control facility at full time. YSB contributions, 28,840. It's the Youth Service Bureau. Officer Sanchez does a really good job with that. Vehicle maintenance, I left flat. Oh,
Youth Service Bureau.
yes.
There was talk for some time of transferring that to social services. And
Back there.
what's that?
It's bounced back and forth between.
Yeah, your
social
Current status.
Social services, Melissa Maltesi did a fantastic job going down to the legislatures and getting it in there circa 21-ish. The prior chief took it on, the police chief took it on from her when we had Officer Tamara Stepien, who was a social worker and a police officer. Some things happened in that period of time and it didn't work out. In June of 2022, I know this because I got a phone call when I was in Boston at training and said, you got to fix the YSB program. I said, holy smokes. I took it on as a lieutenant, then put it all together, got it thing. And then at some point in that period of time, we had a part-time YSB person that was back with Melissa.
We've had 3 actually.
Yes. And again, part-time's hard. YSB is competitive everywhere. So if you're in Ellington and you're going to start at $68,000 to be, Youth Service Bureau or South Windsor or one of these other ones, full-time trumps part-time. We trained part-time. Last one was pretty good. We end up losing them. It came back over to the police department when we made our community service officer, Officer Sam Sanchez. She does YSB. YSB generally does juvenile review board, which is the diversionary program when juveniles get in trouble at a certain level. You're familiar with the JRB? Yes, the JRB is required by law. We didn't have a JRB. So Sam Sanchez, Officer Sanchez, she has a JRB hat. She has a YSB hat. She has a police hat. She has C3 hat.
The JRB is not under YSB.
It's supposed to be. It's supposed to be. The JRB is supposed to be under YSB. YSB.
Funding for Youth Service Bureau pays for the Juvenile Review Board.
The funding that comes in from the YSB comes in from the DCF, and there's a base. There's 3 buckets of funding: base, advanced, and I forget the third one. Supplemental, and we have to match the base. Right. So we match the base. We've been matching it for years and not spending the money. What we haven't spent in the YSB, I know that's crazy. There's no programs. There's nobody to do it.
There's nobody to do it.
So what we haven't been spending on the DCF, Amy and her staff has to give the money back, but not what the town matches. So we had money that was there. We got together and decided we have to do some type of programming. So the police department started taking on some of the program with our partners, not alone, with Melissa. The Juvenile Review Board runs now with school staff, probation, courts, everybody involved, and we run it. The reason why it's in YSB is because, the police arrest you, then you come to the police station, and then you have a police review your thing, and then your juvenile review.
I understand why juvenile review's there.
Yes.
What I don't really understand is why the Youth Service Bureau is housed in the police department. Is that a common occurrence in the state? I don't know of another.
Well, could I ask a question to clarify this? Because Officer Sanchez does some of the YSB functions, do we use any of that funding to offset her salary?
Yes.
And then the other officer that does any of the youth programs. So if somebody else was going and running a DARE program at the school, while they were running that program, their salaries would be charged to the YSB.
So while we
Doesn't
had
matter.
three officers on overtime on Sunday for the Winterfest thing that they did, their overtime is charged to the YSB.
Yes.
Yep.
Any youth programs that the officers are doing are being charged as services to the YSB. Because they're there for youth prevention and assistance.
Well, Youth Service Bureau is more than just police prevention.
There's a group, a youth service bureau body that's volunteers for the town. But this is the actual programming. Normally you would hire, like when I worked at the Y, we had a YSB coordinator. She ran after-school programs. The kids came to the Y. She ran groups with them.
Right.
Worker.
Right.
That's really what the police officers are doing. They are doing our youth connectivity, getting them in touch with services, running programs. We contribute to like Project Graduation, which through the school. So the school would have a speaker come in and we would pay for that out of YSB. So it's a kind of collaborative effort, but the actual police officers that are working with the children are charged to the YSB grant,
Okay.
which is that $14,000 that we match, which is the 28.
I appreciate that. Is it the best use of funding to pay a police officer's salary as opposed to a Youth Service Bureau worker's salary to do youth programming?
No, but I'll tell you why. You can't find one because the town can't afford it. Plain and simple. There's supposed to be an advisory board, could never get one. There's supposed to be a youth coordinator, can never keep one. So the police department has picked it up so that we don't have to abandon our youth service program.
I appreciate.
And I'm not being defensive. I'm just saying, I agree with you.
Yeah.
If we can offload it, we'll offload that in the animal control, but we'll offload that. The statute says there's only two people in the animal control and he's the other one and he doesn't want it. So we joke about it. No, he doesn't want it. It's just not that he doesn't want it, but the Youth Service Bureau, we would love to find it someplace else. But we just haven't been able to.
So we did have, as Amy said, I can think of two part-time folks,
We had one at the police department,
Brittany Boyce,
and then we had
Quinice.
Quinice and Courtney, maybe?
I don't even
She
remember.
got stolen by the school.
And then she went,
It was a part-time and then the.
and now
school
she's an FBI agent.
left.
So now she's an FBI agent, which is what she always wanted to do.
YSB employees, but we have not been able to keep them. And we don't have $80,000 for a part-time YSB coordinator. We don't have a big enough program to need it full-time. And the
Well-
funding's about 50 grand a year.
Are there other programs in the social services sector that could be combined with a youth service position where the salary could be paid?
Probably not. Because what we really need in social services is something for the seniors.
Well, that,
But a senior person is different than a youth person. There's a very specific training tied to the YSB people. and
I get
we just-
that.
And we just don't have it.
I get that, but Park and Rec and the functions of the community center, there may be some synergy there.
We just haven't been successful in my time here.
If we can ask some
Been
more
that
about
program the
that
whole time.
next week.
I intend to.
I'm with you.
I don't disparage what the department has done in terms of its outreach and in terms of its community involvement. In fact, I think we are very fortunate and we have one of the finest police departments, the finest that I've ever known. And I've worked with a few and my wife has worked with many. I'm proud of what you do for us as a community. I'm proud of the fact that our officers are trained to a high level and that the community outreach is what it is. But I still think there's room for,
100% agree.
Yeah, I agree too.
I keep coming back to this thing of isolation and loneliness. And I think we need to begin to improve our community service outreach and operations. It's one of the reasons I run for public office is because I believe it's so essential. And maybe we're not doing enough programming at our new community center yet. And maybe there's room for expansion there. And when Melissa comes in, it's one of the things I want to talk about.
I'll give her a heads up.
Thank you.
Probably your best.
I agree with you because honestly, with us doing it, there's some things in the JRB. So we should be doing a JRB because like I said, we're like judge, jury and executioner. There are barriers that we have to break down by it being the police. But because we have such an awesome officer and Officer Sanchez, that she's able to get in plain clothes and break those barriers. But it is difficult. And I do agree. I wish we had a youth service bureau. But I also think that it's either goes away or we find some way to make it happen somewhere else. And we would rather just see what we can do with what we're doing. And I appreciate all the comments you had. I couldn't agree with you more.
Can I add a little history?
Yes.
So Melissa got the program set up. Chief DeMarco effectively seized it because he wanted to use it for, which was truly an award-winning concept, which was
I appreciate that. I remember when that started.
Right.
Yeah.
So DeMarco snagged the funding for and the functionality. That program fell through, and I'm going to just speak candidly. They broke it. They handed it over to Matt, who, as an administrative lieutenant, rebuilt the thing, and then he ascended quite quickly from admin lieutenant to chief. And we had the chief of police who was doing like the budget submission form for YSB, which is. I mean, he
and the reporting
inside and out. There was
go up and he'd be like, "What? You're the chief of police?" I'm like, "Hey, listen, there was very talented. Work with me."
There was nobody who knew that side of it better than Chief Carl did. But it also was foolish to have a chief of police.
Yeah,
that's just not an appropriate function. So it shifted back to Melissa, and that's when we had the parade of staff come through. The last person that we hired, Ms. Jones, was hired full understanding that this is a part-time position. We need a year or two to justify if this is going to become a full-time position. Okay, sure, no problem, happy to do it. Within the first 2 months, she was like, I need more money or I'm going to leave. That's exactly what happened. She up and left at the same time that the community services officer concept was introduced. So the money went back to the PD, again, under Matt's umbrella because he understood that aspect of it, and they had not the community services officer.
And we did spend most of the money all of it. Last year was the first time in years we spent all the money. We didn't give any back.
Turn our grant money.
Yeah. So
But we did it all on programs. Like I said, a lot of community
we did.
offered, helping Project Graduation, helping the school bring those speakers.
Yep.
Anything for the whole youth prevention is really what it's about. How much we can get them exposed to that will help them make good choices as they grow up. So I don't know that the police department is a terrible spot for it. Would it be wonderful to have a full-time YFB person? Almost certainly. I've worked with them in the past, and it's a fantastic program when you can get it running. And in our case, we had actually 3 or 4 employees at the Y that were all tied to it. And that's a really robust program, but you would never get that past there.
When I was at Enfield, we had 3 or 4 people.
Yeah.
Yeah, Enfield's got a fantastic blast.
Yeah.
So does South Windsor.
Yeah.
And the lady that ran a South Windsor one started with a part-time band in Winchester, Connecticut, and she moved her way all the way up to South Windsor with a $2 million budget.
Yeah.
And they have a whole community center. I believe we supported the community center for this very reason. I just think everything takes longer than you getting used to it or trying to get things in place. It's time to do.
I'm not suggesting that it's not a difficult path, and I'm not suggesting that it'll be easy to move to something different, maybe better. But I'm suggesting it is a path worth pursuing.
You have no bigger supporter than me.
Well, thank you.
It will cause you budget problems though, because you're going to be short Sanchez's salary.
I budgeted it.
You budgeted her full salary?
I didn't reduce it by 28.8. I budgeted it. But I mean, we did that to the police department's favor. So if it ever were to go away, we'd have to put it back in as opposed to, damaging it that. But yes, it would cause budget issues.
Thank you.
So, little nugget for you.
I'm not even necessarily suggesting that it's a 1-year thing.
Thanks, Rick. We'll take that right out of there.
I am suggesting we look at it. I mean, that we look at it. But, budgets are planning documents for over the long term.
Yeah.
And I think we have to look at everything that way.
So I know we're on questions, but I wasn't finished yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's not. If you want me to finish, I'll be done. So, so anyways, YSB, we got hung up on that. Yeah, that 28,840, I actually left in Officer Sanchez's salary. So it is
in two buckets there. So that's a little give back to you. Vehicle maintenance, we left flat, travel, 1,000 flat, supplies. You'll see a little bit of a difference. So this first line is last year. The middle line is what my ask was. The end line is the first selectmen's. You'll see a $500 difference. We asked for $500 because of a little bit of bump in things, but those are the peanuts are. My supply line right now today is 17,000 and change. So we're doing okay. So we might be able to make that work next year. Equipment, 4,000. That usually goes for the things that break, things that are unanticipated. Last year, we had to buy a switch for a computer. Couple of things that come along where we leave that in there. We left the $4,000 in there for any equipment that may or not break. And I think we've been able to keep that for the last couple of years. Uniforms, you'll see 53,653 is the column all the way to the left. The year prior to that, 24, 25, we were onboarding officers, so I had to increase that. When you put an officer on, the officer's uniforms, soup to nuts with his vest, the person's vest and everything I do, especially when they go to the academy, is a little over $7,000. So we added that in there. That year, 25, 20, just last year, we just did 24, 25. I'm sorry, 25, 26. We didn't have to put it in there because we weren't onboarding anybody. We didn't think we were going to, but Officer Valencia left and Sergeant Knowles. So keeping along the line with that, we're going to have to buy uniforms for the two officers going to the academy. When they get out of the academy, we're going to try to eat some of that in this year's budget, but we asked for $14,288. That's what's driving up that uniforms. You'll also see a discrepancy in dues and fees. I asked for a little bit more than the first selectman had put in the budget. It's about $14,000 and change. What was driving that was the cost of the academy. We know we're going to get a bill from the academy about $8,000 to $9,000, depending. I think they went up to $45 per person. We also know that CRESS, which is our Capital Regional Emergency Services, our SWAT team, our negotiators, they went up $1,000 on their dues and fees. And then there was the driving cost of ammunition and a few other things. That was reduced back to flat. So that's why you see the difference in the asks. We'll have to make it happen if the budget goes through. We're always looking to make things happen. The total budget increase is 313,047. If you go off of the first selectman's ask of the 4,537,000, if you want a percentage, it's about 7.41%. I just didn't do that in my head. I did it before, but I didn't want to impress you guys. If you go on mine, it's a little higher than that. It's a big ask. 7.4% is a big ask. Driving a lot of that is that top line of the salaries. The increase is only 34,501 for the things. Remember, the top part is people, the bottom part is things. So now the next slide with questions. Does anybody have any questions on that?
Is the ACO salary also in the officer salary line?
No, ACO's in the ACO. ACO's in the ACO. I wasn't that generous.
What's the 19,000 for with the dog contribution specifically? Is it fixing stuff or?
Insurance and protection for both their 401A and their 457 match.
Now that she's full-time.
85 this year, I didn't count both those things. When I did the transfer, I literally just was covering her salary. I wasn't thinking about all the other things because she's actually accounted for in a separate fund. So all her expenses have to go with her. Typically, a police officer is not in the police department, including their medical, their contribution. Those come under that employee benefit category we talked a little bit about today for pension. But because she's in a separate fund, it has to include everything tied to her. And that's the piece I missed.
So if you look at the budget line, we worked this out with the treasurer. If you look at her salary, FICA, overtime, 401A, 457, health insurance, she's at 91,655. Then we have 3,500 for professional services. The phone over there is 458. Postage is 550. Supplies is 2,500. Electricity is 2,000. We detailed it out with its own budget. And that is the 19,000 that you see the increase there, 19,000 and change. Well, if you wanted to see what that budget looked like, certainly provide it to you.
Questions or comments for the chief?
I have a question. All the certification that you guys do, does that benefit us with our insurance?
Oh, that's a good question. What are you talking about, the training,
Like they just went through
the
all,
FBI latest stuff?
yeah, all of that stuff. Does
Get
that, I
insurance break on that.
mean, I don't know.
It will
So,
help with their insurance premiums.
That's what I'm
They're
wondering.
hoping not to be sued.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
well, oh, right, yeah, from a prevention
Yeah.
standpoint,
Well, and I'll talk a little bit about that. We haven't been successfully sued, and I can't tell you how long. And when you are sued, if and when you are, because like I said, we buy the outcome of anything that happens, good or bad. If you are sued, I can tell you the trend in lawsuits that the deputy chief and I follow is that when they start to look at what the police officers do, first of all, we have a lot of leeway with Supreme Court cases that, we're making split-second decisions that are going to be decided by whatever. They come down to your training.
Mhm.
What are you doing for training? So, all right, we do CIT, but then they look at the department and say, okay, well, you did the training, but how do we measure that it worked?
Right.
The measure that we worked is our use of force is down. We have very little or no use of force. We have measures in mechanisms in the police department that show our feedback. We have programs that people can report negative incidents to us. We look at our internal investigations. So we can go into court if we had to and show, not only do we train, but we have a mechanism in place to show that it is effective. And we also can show that the officers are receiving continued training. It wasn't a one-off. That whole model right there, when you get into court, if we ever get into court, tough to beat.
Right.
Tough to beat.
I would imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. From a Spencer, there's one national standard which our department does not fall under at this time.
Mhm.
It would be a lofty goal down the road, it would be CLIA.
Okay.
And that's basically a national standard. You might see some police departments have that as a standard. It's basically, we're tier 3 accredited. And that means our policies are in line with training, our vehicles, our evidence, our handling of funding. Follow the news, what just happened down in New Haven, right? They wouldn't pass that muster because there would have been better checks and balances, keeping track of that stuff. We would love to get there at some point. That alone does help lower some insurances. That's why some chiefs and departments go to that. The mandate of monies to maintain that is staggering. You have to literally dedicate one cop to just doing that. So we take an officer away from all the things we need. And the other aspect of that too is, looking at our current building, we would never meet that standard, as the chief mentioned as well. We have to tighten up a lot of stuff, hence why the need for the renovation.
Okay.
anything else? Other questions or comments? What else you got?
Next slide. Should be up, this will go quick and there's a lot less pain. Well, I don't know. I'm gonna say it's a lot less. Communications. Last year, communications was contentious, if you remember, with the dispatching and all the things that were going on with TN. We worked that out. TN's been fantastic with us. So our goal is we want to work with partners to complete a town-wide new radio system. That's really what it comes down to. Next slide. If you look at, this is, again, there's no discrepancy between
Building.
we asked what the police department was looking.
At the end of it.
It's just a budget that I manage. It's not really a police department budget and what the first selectman had. That top number, 55,256, that is the cost or the increase of cost of us on our radio system now through Marcus, our vendor. It's the LTR, it's all the things that come with that. And our rented P25 line for the police department. So that cost has gone up. So we bear the cost of that. That's what that increase is. Collin County Dispatch, the chief, our fire chief talked about that a little bit. Some things this year, it actually had gone down. It's not a lot, but it went down a little bit. So you could see the change in that. That Collin County that's paying for the dispatching services for the ambulance and some light support for some of their CAD and some of the things that Collin County puts on them to run their dispatch. That constitutes that's that thing. So if you look at it, it's $5,960 increase.
Questions there?
How much is the overall between yours and the two fire departments for Collin?
About 91,000.
91 and change this year?
Yeah, that's wrong.
And that's based on calls. So like you said, the more calls we're getting, the more that's going to go up.
I think they based it on population now, right?
No. They changed the model.
Oh, it's now-
That's what caused the,
right.
Between November 1st and October 31st of each year, we run
report of how many calls each department has done, and that's how we hold it.
I saw the email from Chief Rude that the ambulance is down like 200 calls on the year.
109,000, they lost 109,000 in revenue, so he's dropping an ambulance. Calls are down in a year. And these guys are the experts in TN. They sit there, that's what they do. But basically, expenses are X and your cost is Y. They try to divide that up with what they have. And they assess a percentage per call. It's maybe $33 and something cents when they have a call that goes on. And then there's like, I said, the ambulance going to the call, the fire department, which fire department mutual aid. And so it's not just an equation you can look at. It's pretty difficult. These guys do a fantastic job of trying to figure that out and what the cost is and breaking it out. But it's the cost of dispatching fire and ambulance.
Any other questions on communications?
You sure?
I don't have any questions about that.
Okay.
Made my brain start thinking.
Okay, yes, no problem. That's not a problem. 3:00 in the morning, text the deputy chief. It's emergency management. So some of our goals, we're trying to establish or starting to work on establishing a town EOC. It's down at the town hall annex. We received a $25,000 grant. We bought furniture. We bought some electronics for that. It's in the process of being built. We're almost there. We still have some electricity that we have to put in there and stuff. But it's coming along. It's where, if anybody knew, it's where the Parks and Recs, Sam and those folks were in that whole area. It's turning out to be beautiful. Public Works painted it. Did some upgrades that were in there. We got a big, beautiful table, new chairs, new desks, new computers, new TVs and stuff like that. So it looks nice. That ultimately, when it's all said and done, will be open up to the town officials for EOC. There's a really advanced sound bar and video bar. So if we wanted to, we'd be able to record. It's another place for somebody to meet to be able to record it or anything like that. Completion of the townwide emergency management drill. We do that. This will be the third year if we do it, get it done. And I hope the budget passes for 3 years running. And really everybody gets together and we do the drill and it works out well. And this year we had some hiccups, but it's better to train and find those hiccups and work those through than have them when it's an event. And we just completed, or we're in the process of still completing, the local emergency medical service plan. We submitted. It came back. This is a collaboration between the ambulance, fire department, TN, and the police department. It's a plan that you have to put together every 5 years, right? And we submitted it. It came back to us with some questions about response time and some dispatching, minor. We're making some changes, and I think Chief Rude just gave me his responses today. So we'll anticipate resubmitting that to the state anytime soon, but it's not going to be an issue. So that's what we wanted to do for the projects for 2025. Move forward. So what are our goals for 2026? We started a CERT team. We want to continue the training for our CERT. That's emergency citizens response team. They've done a great job. They're up to 20-something members, close to 20 members. Great job. We're coordinating and figuring out communications on how they're going to fit in to everything we get going, but we're excited about that. So completion of the 26 emergency management drill, the EEPPEI that happens every year. It's a statewide drill for those that don't know, that comes together, and all the emergency management folks and the town officials, fire, ambulance, public works, wherever, they get together and they drill us. And it's supposed to be a day-long event that you go through. That'll happen. It happens every year. And then this year we have to submit the local emergency operation plan. It's submitted every 2 years. This got extended because the state extended it for everybody. And that's the model plan in the event that we had a disaster, that we'll be bringing before and submitting it by January. Submitted and approved by January. So we'll spend a lot of time working on that. So that next slide, if you see the budget, again, that stipend on the top, we increased it $2,000 to 17. There's some clerical work that happens. That's $1,000. It gets broken up between the clerical and the rest. The deputy chief was at 6. I was at 8,000. I want to bring him up to 8,000. The deputy chief and I, who's the deputy director of emergency management, he does a lot of work throughout the year. He does the plan, the townwide plan, puts a lot of stuff together for. I wanted to make it equal. 8,000 and 8,000 is our stipend for that. It's outside of our salaries.
And then the 1,000 for that. So that brought it up to 17,000, which was the $2,000 increase. That's the only increase for the top side of it. The bottom, if you look at the bottom, phone, we left the same, cable, we left the same, communications, we left the same. Equipment management, maintenance, we went up because the contract that we signed, that services our generators for all our critical facilities. That contract that we sign has a 3% increase every year. That constitutes a 3% increase of what that is.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I was going to ask if we had budgeted sufficiently for generator maintenance.
You did. So that's the generator maintenance plus the 3%. And you guys signed a 3-year contract with a new generator folk that went through Joyce Holloffer. So he's aware of it. We collaborated on that. Supplies, we went up. We were a little flat on the supplies this year because we do more things with CERT, and we did some training with Tim's and some other things that unfortunately we didn't have the money for. Those guys worked out and got some grants or got some donations for that. They're fantastic. But because supplies, we're going to be doing more emergency management things with our CERT team, we increased supplies. That could be coffee, donuts, the things that come in there, plates, whatever type of thing that might drive some of this stuff. The CERT team, it does open up buckets of money from Prague. They get a certain amount of money for training, certain amount of money for equipment, but it just doesn't cover all the costs. So we increased that $850. So the total of this budget went up $3,210.
Questions or comments?
Questions, comments, none. One thing that's not on there, I think we're done now with the show. But one thing that's not on there is I did tell Commissioner Reardon that we would do the police commission. That stayed flat. It's $100 plus recording fees. I think you guys left it 125. You know, increase it. So it's 125 times the meetings plus $100. There hasn't been change. So I didn't make a slide on it. Anything else?
That's all you got?
I could tell a knock joke, but I think it's time for everybody to go home.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. I should ask, anything from you guys? No?
Thank you. You'll hear it again. Fine, I don't know when it is. Okay.
All right, I'll do public participation. If there's anybody from the public who would like to address the board on anything you've heard tonight, happy to give you an opportunity. If not, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Third at 9:22.
I'm with a lot of your hair.
Good job.
Thank you.